everybody, Pandi here. Hey everybody, Pandi here of Pandi's Hair, Candy, and More, coming through with my review and recap commentary for IyanlaFixMyLife. We are in season 7 on episode 3 right now, and it is titled The Masks We Wear. In this episode, actress comedian Luenell and her daughter have come to the IyanlaFixMyLife set because they are dealing with issues as a mother and daughter. Okay? So I want to thank you all for taking a moment to jump on in and check me out. If you enjoy the commentary, please go ahead and make sure you smash that thumbs up for me. And if you really enjoy the commentary and everything else that's over here on the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It is free 99 after all. Over here, for the most part, my channel is based on hair, both natural hair as well as wigs. However, I do offer a very wide variety of content over here that ranges from TV show reviews, product reviews, unboxings, game nights, trending topic recaps, and just overall information and news that you can definitely use. So again, I want to thank you for taking a moment to come on through and check me out on my Iyanla series. And again, without further ado, I want to go ahead and jump right on in to the recap, okay? Because I don't want to be before you very long. So, in this episode, y'all, it begins off with us seeing Iyanla meeting up with Luenell at the comedy club because, as I stated, she's a comedian, so she wants to meet her where she's comfortable. You know, she tells her that she wants to see her perform. Now, Luenell's a bit taken back because she feels that, you know, Iyanla should have tried to get acquainted with her first. And she asks Luenell, who are you and what do you want? And, you know, Luenell shares that she would like to change the negative narrative that's been put out about her, that she's a hothead and she's hard to work with. So she opens up about some of the facts around how she's worked a lot as a young mother, oftentimes leaving her daughter behind for extended periods of time. So after they talk for a bit, we're then introduced to her daughter, Luenell. She is a very beautiful young woman, and she kind of tells Iyanla that she supports her mom a lot. But when asked by Iyanla what that looks like, the first thing she mentions is that she helps her mom pack. So that was pretty interesting. Now, Luenell's adult daughter, like I said, her name is Luenell, and basically she's dealing with a mother who's been working in the industry for 30 years. And of course, like I said, she's got this whole angry black woman thing going on. And of course, she's trying to change that narrative. However, because her and her daughter have this estranged kind of background, there's a bit of conflict between the two of them, okay? So, and I think it kind of actually broke her a little bit. It broke her spirit at the end of the day. You know, Luenell feels like her mother is very rough around the edges with her. And every time that she tries to express herself with her mom, it's received as disrespect. Which, of course, that causes her to then shut down. Now, meanwhile, while Iyanla and Luenell are talking, they have Luenell situated upstairs in a room. Honey, when I say that Luenell is upstairs flipping out, she's flipping out because she's been just left up there hanging. She's trying to figure out, like, what the heck is going on. And she feels like the process is taking entirely too long. So the staff go and grab Iyanla, and Iyanla has to come up there to calm her down. And Iyanla explains to Luenell, well, baby, I'm trying to work with your daughter. but they pulled me in here to come and see about you. And Iyanla also explains to Luenell that she herself, meaning Luenell, has abandonment issues, and it's unfortunate because she's now had to stop the process with her daughter because she has issues with being alone. So this is when Luenell kind of opens up with Iyanla and shares that her dad was murdered by her uncles, who happened to be her mother's brother. Now, her mom already had 7 children when she got pregnant with her, and also at the time that the husband was murdered. So when that occurred, Iyanla's mother was now faced with being a widow with 7 children and 1 on the way. So she was forced to make the tough decision. Do I, take on 8 kids as a widow? What do I do? And at the end of the day, she made the decision to put her up for adoption. So this, of course, causes some hurt and trauma with Luenell. And Luenell's feelings are that, she has unresolved issues herself, basically. And this helps us to better understand why Luenell has ended up making some of those same mistakes with her daughter. Next, we see Iyanla trying to help Luenell understand that her inability to show compassion to her mother's situation rather than anger is the very reason that she has completed some of the same mistakes with her daughter and contributes to her rough, I don't give a you-know-what attitude. So then Luenell does eventually open up a bit more and shares that she was also molested as a child. Now, that of course kind of changes the dynamic of things, but when she does decide to say something about it, no one believes her. Now here, Iyanla and Luenell kind of bond a bit over that because Iyanla also shared with Luenell that the same situation happened to her by an uncle as a child, and she shared her story about how her auntie literally took her to the uncle who molested her. She questioned him about the accusation. Of course, he denied it. So Iyanla tells her that, she had to come to the realization that her auntie just didn't have the tools. Now, of course, Luenell was not trying to hear that, y'all. In her mind, like most of us, if a child says it happened, it most definitely did. But if anything else, out of sheer love for the child, you should believe them. Now, of course, like I said, most of us feel that way, but unfortunately, the reality is that that's not usually how it happens. And the reality is that people usually do not know how to respond to or react to that level of trauma because, again, like Iyanla pointed out, they really don't have the tools. They don't know how to react to that level of trauma, and we know this because it happens so often. It is really sad. Now, next we see that they bring Luenell and Danelle together, and this is where they begin to talk about how Luenell tends to dominate their relationship and how Danelle is pretty much retreated because inwardly she just goes inward. She just kind of like shuts down. She feels like the way that Luenell flashes on her just causes her to shut down, and they never get any resolve. She's never able to express herself to her mother or discuss how she feels. And Luenell is actually the perfect candidate for the Fix My Life situation because Iyanla is very raw. She's very uncut, very real. You know how we be seeing people come to the Iyanla show and they be like, what? I'm not getting, no, let me out. Like Shay Johnson, for example, she wanted to bounce. But because Luenell is actually the same way, she is actually more receptive to Iyanla's style and process, so it actually ends up working out. Now, initially, it was hard for Luenell to acknowledge that she was responsible for some of her daughter's pain, but she also acknowledged that it did have to happen in order for her daughter's pain to be validated, and that she did need to, accept her role in the fault that she played and why her daughter was shut down and withdrawn the way that she was. And she did. She had to cry a little bit and, let that out. But I applaud her for actually going and doing the work. Like Iyanla says, doing the work. Okay. Now, she also had to admit that she herself is broken and that she hasn't dealt with her own unresolved issues, which in turn is why she hasn't been able to give her daughter what she needs. Now, Luenell also admits to being closed off towards her mother. In fact, throughout the whole episode, Iyanla is very forcefully expressing to her to communicate to your mother as a grown woman. She was constantly telling her that throughout the episode. And Iyanla explains to both of them that basically the mother-daughter dynamic is pretty much gone. And this is why, people, it is so very important for us as parents, and I'm speaking from experience, that we have to be there for our children when they're young. And I mean be there actively, mentally, emotionally, physically, and be ready to devote the time necessary to raising those children so that those bonds can be built. Because when you can give your time and your attention and really build those bonds in the child, it's much easier to communicate as they get older. It's much more difficult when they're older and then you're trying to establish those bonds and those lines of communication. And this is exactly what we're seeing happen with these two. So it's very important to do that. Now, when they're adults, they really don't need you as much, so it just makes it that much more difficult. I'm looking at my notes. I apologize, y'all. This is why parents, you can't just dip in and out of the child's life because, some parents feel like they can just come back around and try to mother or father them, and it simply doesn't work that way. You pretty much find yourself in a situation where, like these two, we have two adult women who now have to work on their relationship as two grown women. And this is a tough transition for anyone, and it's one that's going to require mutual respect. And this goes for both the parent and the child. But I think the beautiful thing about this episode is that they are both willing and they both have a strong desire to work on their relationship and mend it. So this was actually a really great episode, guys. I really applaud Luenell because she put forth the effort, and her daughter also put forth the effort. And also it's shown us again, the importance of actively parenting and overall abandonment issues, how they can show up years later. She was in a situation where she worked a lot as a young comedian. She's been grinding out here for years, and she kind of felt like, well, I left her with family. But even still, to that child, when you go all those long periods without seeing your mother like that, it does create a sense of abandonment. And then when we find out that she also experienced a sense of abandonment in the fact that she was adopted out and then later was molested, there was just a lot of trauma and turmoil there. So the fact that they are actually sitting down, talking with Iyanla, and hopefully continuing to get some therapy, I think things will be all right. Unfortunately, the mother-daughter dynamic is going to be tested, but I think they can get through this. So this was a really good episode, y'all. If I missed anything, you all definitely feel free to drop down in the comments below and let me know what's on your mind. And just share your overall feedback of what you thought, if I left anything out, if there was something else that I hit on, and just let me know how you feel. All right. Until next time, guys, I'm Pandi of Pandi's Hair, Candy, and More. Thank you again for clicking on the video. If you've enjoyed the commentary, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It is free 99. After all, it doesn't cost you anything. Until next time, guys, stay safe out there, stay encouraged, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.